Guys, we got a very special guest here today, Austin Rivers, 2012 NBA draft, 11 years pro basketball player. I mean, dad is Doc Rivers. We have so many exciting things to talk about. Duke, dating questions, all these different things. Austin, welcome to the show. How are you?
Thanks for having me. I'm doing good. Good to be in New York.
I'm so excited. I know. We're so thankful we caught you while you're here. What are you doing in New York?
I just had some meetings, doing some network stuff, and just catching up. Got some friends here, family here, so yeah, it's always nice to be in the NY.
You told me you live, you're based in Florida now, Orlando. Do you get off to Disney often?
Everyone asks that question.
I feel like it's like a guarantee.
We go when appropriate.
Yeah.
Like if we have time and it's like a really nice day, that's like one thought, just because it's kind of fun just to walk around the park. I got kids, they love it. But it's just like an experience when you do it with the kids. By like 5 o'clock, you're kind of worn out, and then
it's a whole thing.
Yeah, you have to like recover the next day.
Kids are.
It's like going to the club.
It's literally going to the club.
It's equivalent to going to the club till like 4 a.m. Is like taking your kids to Disney is the same type of recovery needed. Like you need an IV the next day. You need all that. Yeah.
But you're the security, and like the kids are like the cool guests arriving. Like they're like the celebrity, and you're the security.
For sure.
Essentially.
We watch over them. That's all we do, pretty much. Just get paid to just drag them, or they drag us around.
Are you wearing like Mickey ears?
No, we don't do all that. We're local. We're local. We pull up in a slide. Yeah, we pull up. You get they got like season passes now.
Yeah.
So
you guys purchasing those?
For sure.
Oh
yeah.
God.
We do all that. When you're like a Floridian, these are like must things.
These are the boxes you must check.
Yeah, if you live in Orlando, you're saving money. Trust. It's like, bro. Otherwise, Disney will tax you like thousands and I mean. It's an experience, so they charge a lot, yeah. But same with Universal, all that stuff.
I mean, it's kind of like the same thing as me wearing like an I Heart New York shirt as like a New Yorker. So I get it.
Yeah.
I love it. We're starting off strong here, but we'll take it on back a little bit. So 11 years in the NBA. I mean, that's absolutely amazing. Can you bring me back to your draft day, though, in 2012?
Yeah.
Do you even remember that day, or is it all a blur?
No, I definitely do. A lot has passed by. I don't remember everything, but I just remember like little flashes and moments of what that day was like. You know, a day that we all anticipate, and then it's there, and it's kind of awkward. It's weird. It's like, oh, this day's actually here.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how it felt the whole day.
Who was there with you?
My family, my dad, my mom, my brothers, just pretty much all my close-knit friends.
Yeah.
So they were all there. We didn't really know what pick I was going. They knew lottery, but you didn't want to be that guy that's like still there and the camera keps panning to you and you haven't been picked yet and like you're sweating. Like I didn't want to be that. I've heard the story, so I was just like, bro, I hope someone takes me. But yeah, I ended up going to New Orleans.
That's amazing. I mean, I feel like it's just the culture of the NBA has changed from like 2012 to now. I feel like it was just like, I don't know like the right words to use. Now I feel like it's a little more on the pedestal when it comes to draft day of this is like at the top already, but I feel like back before people had the idea that like I'm starting from zero, but like I feel like nowadays a lot of athletes are like I'm starting at 100. You know, I'm in the NBA now. So what do you think has changed from like 2012 to now that you see in the athletes?
I guess for one, NIL.
Yeah.
You know, these kids are already paid by the time they get to the league. So in terms of like meaning so much to get drafted, you got some of these young men already ran off $1 million or $2 million in college, coming to the pros. Where before, obviously, you got a bunch of guys whose whole family's about to change when they make the NBA and have a lot of responsibility on their shoulders. So it's just different now. I can only imagine what it would have been like when I was playing in high school or any of my boys playing at that time if there was ways to make money legally.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been crazy.
I know. It's literally crazy. You guys actually started at zero. I mean, did you even have an Instagram in 2012? That was like the first year it came out.
I had like, it was like my first photo was like a picture of my sandwich or something like that. And I was just like, I had this today. It was like Jersey Mike's. It was something weird like that. I don't know. I deleted it, but I went through and cleaned it up years later. But it was silly. It wasn't like what it is now. Like
it was casual posting.
Now it's a brand. Like everyone's posting. It's like a part of you know, who you are and what you're making. Yeah, all this stuff.
What was the first thing your dad said to you after you got drafted?
The work starts now. You know, he's like, everything you've done before is over with. You know, and you got to let that go. And, you know, people are going to be coming for you just because of your last name and all these different things. So, you know, it was weird. My rookie years were so tough and hard. I got drafted to a beautiful city in New Orleans. I love the people down there, but the situation itself was not a good one for me. I wasn't really let go. I was a prolific scorer my entire life, and then I get to New Orleans, and their idea of me was to be a defender for whatever reason, which I ended up having to grow to be because that's what I had to do to get on the court. But, yeah, it wasn't the easiest situation for me to be in.
What was your earliest memory of touching a basketball? Like, where did you first start out? Do you remember how old you were?
Yeah, earliest memory. Earliest memory would be probably in San Antonio. I lived there for an extended amount of years. My dad played for the Spurs for a little while before he did like TNT. And we were down there for maybe 2-3 years. And I think I started playing when I was like 5.
Yeah.
Just like at the YMCA. I think I was on the orange team, you know, whatever wristband color we wore. But nothing serious until like 9, 10 is when I really started to get into it.
Was it a personal passion of yours that you found? Did you feel any pressure because of your father, or was it maybe a little mix of both?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I wasn't the best player either. I when I was like 9 or 10, you know, I was the best player at my school, but like that thing AAU came to me. I've never heard of it. I was just like a local kid, played in my area, and they're like, "Hey, do you want to play AAU? It's like a competitive, you know, blah blah blah." So I go
AAU.
play. Yeah. And I find out I am far from like the best player. I mean, mind you, I'm 9 or 10, but I'm like playing against guys on this team in Orlando called the Dream Team, and I was like the 6th best player. And that team won nationals. We won 3 years in a row, which was a big deal back then. It was like the best team in the country.
That's insane.
Out of Orlando, and I was like the 7th best player. I played like 10 minutes a game, 12 minutes a game. I think I was on the team maybe because my dad. I don't even know. I'm almost positive they pay for jerseys and whatnot. That's the only reason they put me on the team. I was like the 8th man, 9th man. I was definitely there was a reason behind my signing, I guess. But as years went on, I just kept progressing, and then everything kind of fell into place. But the pressure was there for sure. People would come to my games like, "That's Doc's kid." I never had my own name, so for me, that was always definitely a thing that pushed me.
I know it's kind of difficult because nowadays we see a lot of NBA players, you know, having longevity in the league, and then their kids are now coming to play. And obviously, a lot of people, you know, kids get so much that you get heckled, you get hate, but you know, having that athleticism, I don't really truly think it's genetic. I think height's genetic. I think, you know, build is genetic. But when it comes to technique, you know, that's learned. It's nature over nurture. And people are so quick to hate on like a kid who's just now learning the sport. Like you weren't born, you know, dunking at 3 years old. You have to learn how to do these things. So I think it's just crazy how people start to hate. Do you like what was your earliest memory of people like saying anything like that of that nature to you?
Man, it started really, really young. It always bewildered me just because basketball is not a family business. It's not a business that your parents can build and just pass down to you. Like you don't grow up like with everything being handed to you. You grow up privileged. There's a difference, right? So I had 2 parents who loved me, put in energy. That's the most way I was spoiled beyond me having money. I had 2 parents that put in like time and energy into me. And then beyond that, yes, I had the privileges of my father being an NBA coach and all these different things. But it's not like the neighborhood I lived in, you know, obviously was a wealthy neighborhood. Like my neighbor, when he graduated high school, he just got the family business passed to him. You know what I'm saying? Like we don't.
You got to earn the NBA title.
You can't just make the you have to go make the NBA. So like there's a lot of pressure, and then people obviously just don't like you off the rip because they think you know, whatever way. It's a weird thing in our culture. Even as an African American, we make fun of like the kids who grow up well. Yeah. It's a weird thing we do. So it was always frustrating because those most of my friends were, especially we played ball. You know, it was one of those things I just had to just kind of try to focus, know what I value. Yeah. And again, it was a process, man. It took a village to get me to be the player that I became, especially in high school. Like, I didn't start out that way. I was a 7th, 8th guy, and then I just kept progressing. And then by like 8th, 9th grade, you know, I went from being one of the better players locally to being one of the better players around the country. And then it wasn't until all the way in high school where I became the #1 player. So that took time, and it took a group of people. Otherwise, I would have never made it. No.
That's amazing. When did you know you were going to go to the NBA draft?
I knew I was going to play pro when I was like a sophomore in high school. Yeah. At that point, I was already better than pretty much almost everybody in high school, even classes above me. I felt in my mind at least. Yeah. There were a couple players that were good. You had like John Wall and Brandon Knight. There were a couple other guys. But other than that, I felt like even at 15, I was like, I knew right then and there. I was like, man, I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. Or this is going to have something to do with setting me up for the rest of my life. Is playing this damn basketball game. So. Yeah, I knew then. I mean, I had no backup plan. Yeah. There was no plan B.
You're like, this is the path, and there's no way off the path.
My dad used to tell everybody that. He used to always tell, like, his players, you know, he's like, which one is the one? He's like, I got one. He's like, that one right there. And he used to do it in front of me and, like, point at me. It's like an added pressure. But I enjoyed that. And I took a lot of pride in my father believing I would be a pro even early on. And I didn't have a social life. Like I didn't have a girlfriend. I didn't have anything. I didn't start dating until I was like late when I got older. Like never went to a party, never drank alcohol until I was 22.
Yeah.
I didn't really have anything other than basketball. So
you had a really strict, disciplined upbringing due to this?
Not really. I just wasn't really into anything.
You were just locked in?
Yeah, I never went to parties in high school. I went to a big high school, 6A. So we had about 4,000 kids at our school.
Yeah. Which
might be more common now, but at the time that was a really big school. And there's a lot of money at that school, and there was crazy parties and pretty girls, and you got all that. I just really wasn't into any of that stuff. I just hooped.
Yeah, you're just mentally, you kept yourself disciplined, and you're like, I know what I have to do to get to a certain place. And
at that point, when you love something and you're chasing something, nothing else really matters.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I was caught in. You couldn't even tell me any different. At the time, I didn't know any better. I thought this is the only thing that didn't matter. So looking back, there are certain regrets. I think I could have enjoyed being a child more, especially at Duke. When I went to Duke, I didn't enjoy being a college student. There are things I just didn't go try just as a human being. I was so caught up in trying to NBA that I just passed by possible memories in life to just friendships, people that I went to school with and I never kept up with, people that I never even tried being friends with, that reached out to me multiple times to try to be friendly with me. I regret a lot of those things, and it wasn't me being an asshole. I just really was.
You were locked in.
I just played basketball and just went to my dorm room. Yeah,
I think that's a hard thing about a lot of young athletes nowadays is actually being present in the moment, because it does take an extreme amount of discipline to get to the professional level. But it's true, in doing so, in order to gain your new life, you kind of have to give up your old one. And that's a mental battle that you deal with now, where you're like, I have these regrets. But if anything, they're just human regrets. And I think a lot of athletes, you get locked into this one mindset. And so to have that realization later, though, is you're really opening your eyes to what you had been through. And it's a really good way of processing it. Because I think a lot of athletes have a hard time looking back and processing their career in a healthy way and acknowledging the positives and the negatives. But you said Duke. So can you give me your first impression of Duke? I'm a Duke family. Me and my family, we all love Duke. We're huge Blue Devils fans. So
there we go.
I love this. So I'm all duked out. And tell me your first earliest memory. When did you know you were going? Just your first moment stepping foot on campus.
My first time falling in love with Duke was actually a lot earlier. I was in 7th, 8th grade, and my brother committed to Georgetown, and my older brother played at Georgetown. They were actually really good. He played with Jeff Green and DeJuan Summers and Roy Hilbert. They actually went to the Final Four, too. They were really nasty. They played Duke at Duke. It was an out-of-conference game on ESPN. So my whole family went up to go watch my older brother play. And I remember going into Cameron in 8th grade, and I was like, wow. I just walked in there, and it was packed, and the way the game was and how loud it was. I saw the jerseys hung up and Coach K walking around. I was like, man, this is crazy. I remember my dad being like, this is where some of the best basketball players go, right here. And I remember thinking to myself, man, I want to go here one day.
Yeah.
And then, later when it became available, for sure, I jumped ship. I actually committed to Florida in 8th grade.
Really?
Yeah.
How did that decision come to be and then switch to Duke?
Because at the time, Florida was they just went back-to-back natties with Joe Kim and Corey Brewer. Remember that team? Yeah. They had that squad, so they won, and they were the hottest thing. So much so that Billy Donovan was even getting Magic consideration. He was there was a rumor that he might go coach the Magic a couple years later. All this stuff. So at the time, I was like, man, I'm going to go play for the Gators. So I committed in 8th grade. Being a Florida kid, I felt like that was the right decision. My sister was going to go there for volleyball. It just felt like the cool thing to do, close to home. Yeah. About a 2-hour drive. And then, man, I don't know what happened. Coach King came to one game of mine, and it was just gave me a look, and I was like, bro, I don't know. I think I'm going to go to Duke. I decommitted.
All he had to do was show up to a game.
Bro, he showed up to one game. I decommitted the next day, and I opened it up, and then they started coming to all my games, and then they offered me, and
that's the magic of Coach K, though. That's literally what he did for the program. And then look, you went there, and tell me about the moment where you felt like you really took hold of the opportunity there.
Man, I would say it started the Maui Invitational. We won the Maui Invitational because the first 4 or 5 games of the year, I was a little slow. It's kind of like how Cooper's year was. First couple games, he started out slow, and then once you start to get the rhythm and the pace, understand it is a different level than high school, which you played. So you got to get your rhythm. Once you got that, you got your confidence, then it was a wrap. And the Maui's where I started to find it. I started having 18, 19, 15, started scoring the ball a little bit more efficiently. And that's where it really started moving for me to where by conference play I was like really starting to pick it up. And yeah, the memories I made at Duke were crazy. The game winner and all those different things that happened there, I keep with me for the rest of my life. Yeah.
Any notable teammates from Duke that you still keep in touch with, that you're still super close with?
Well, by default, Seth. Yeah, I have no choice to be with Seth as he married my sister.
How did that come to be?
I still to this day, I don't exactly really know. I don't know if I want to know when they started to strike a little friendship.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was while I was playing with him on the team.
Yeah.
She was older than me, so I never cared. And at the time, when I played at Duke, I sort of lived with her in North Carolina because she was there. She was dating Dexter Strickland.
Yeah.
Who played for North Carolina. So that's why she was there. And then, yeah.
So you don't know how they officially started talking?
Nah, not really. I just remember like they like saw each other like a year or two later after they had both broken up with the people they're talking to.
Yeah.
And they're like, hi. And they're like, I don't know.
And
they went to a
Seth
concert.
is
They went to like
family.
some concert.
Yeah.
And then now they got kids and married and the whole 9 yards. But they're dope. Super cool.
I mean, brother-in-law, that's amazing. I love that.
Yeah, big basketball family.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So, okay, so we don't know how that started. Maybe they can clarify it at the next family reunion.
Yeah, no, we just did. We had a huge family trip in Fiji.
Yeah.
It was all the Currys and all the Rivers went to
Really?
Fiji. I'm the only one that.
Was Cameron Brink there? I'm holding a little Cameron Brink doll right now.
I don't know if she might have went.
Yeah.
Yeah, she might have went as well. I didn't go. I was
Really?
We had just lost to the Warriors. I'm like, bro, Steph, you're not about to fly me out
Yeah.
on vacation after just knocking me out of the playoffs, bro. Like,
I
there's
mean,
no
it's
way I
Fiji,
couldn't do
though.
it. No, I know. Trust me, my family are like, well, let's just all go. The whole family's going. I was like, I can't as a man. Have this man, he paid for the whole thing. Flights, island rented out. Half the island was rented out. Like crazy stuff, man. Like some Steph Curry type stuff.
You couldn't go and just drink out of the coconut and
bro. This dude just had like 40 on my head top. There's no way I was getting on a flight and just be like, hey, Steph. Hell no. I was like, bro, I DM'd him. I was like, I want to catch the next one. He's like, all right, man.
Yeah, I would have buckled my seatbelt and been like, let's go,
If the
pilot.
roles were reversed, it would have been the same thing.
Yeah.
I promise you, if we would have beat them and I was playing the way he was playing, and I did a family trip for all of us, that would be like, I got some business things. You would have no way would have came.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. Can you give me like a funny family memory of like all you guys together, or is that too?
I don't know if I have anything funny. We had a huge argument one time, all of us just over dinner, just about our era versus their era. And my dad was very obviously like, man, we got guys who could kill in this era. And
Yeah.
me and Seth were obviously very prideful.
Yes.
Going back and forth with him, and those are the best. When you argue over dinner, it's just basketball. The ladies end up leaving
Absolutely.
and going to get like a drink
Well,
somewhere.
the food's cold by then, and
Yeah,
everyone's
yeah.
done
It
eating, and
gets
you guys are
loud.
still sitting there.
It's a loud table.
I mean, you guys must have some pretty intense basketball conversations. Does your dad ever share any crazy stories?
All the time, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, just a lot of it just being about how different it was, and just he's like, how many games. A lot of it's frustration stuff, like how many games guys missed with all the available amenities that these guys
Yeah.
have and treatments. And he's like, bro, we used to have to play 70-something games a year to get paid. Like it was crazy. You didn't miss games unless you were absolutely like injured.
I
know?
agree on that though, like
And
to
now,
a degree.
like, we have all these guys who just miss, it's obviously, it's definitely, people call it softer, but I guess that's why the guys, you got LeBron playing the way he does when he's 40.
Yeah.
You have guys taking care of themselves, so.
So are you are you more neutral on that? Are you more on the edge of like people should play more like the star players, or are you more like I get it, having played in the league?
Meaning.
When like star players, franchise players
I want them to
sit
play.
out.
No, I need, you should play. You get paid to play. You get
Yeah.
paid $40-50 million. You should be playing just about every night.
I agree.
And that goes for even the last guy. We all make millions playing basketball.
Doing what you love.
Yeah, there's no reason for us not to be on the court. I didn't play unless I was instructed I wasn't going to for like trade stuff
Yeah.
or if I was hurt. Otherwise, I'm suiting up to play. I mean, there's nothing else to it. So I get it. Some guys have nagging injuries. Some guys have agendas. There's a lot of people in people's ear, a lot of money being involved.
Yeah.
It is a business. But no, at the end of the day, we're all here to play basketball. So for sure, get on the court and hoop. I hate when I see these stars not playing. it bothers me for sure.
I think almost every NBA game I go to, for no matter what team it is, there's always the franchise player
someone's
sitting
out. Yeah, usually
someone's always out.
It's so much so that when you get all of them in a game, everyone's excited. We're all
my
like,
gosh,
oh,
yeah.
and that's the way it should be all the time.
All the time,
So,
especially
yeah.
all these people paying to come see the game. I mean, it's absolutely crazy. But speaking of paying and the millions, what was the biggest lifestyle change? You're going from Duke to the league. So would you spend your first paycheck on? Like, what were you living in an apartment, a house? Were you alone? Like, what was the lifestyle change like?
I was very privileged because I didn't have to take care of my parents. Most people who get drafted, it's like a community. The whole community got drafted. Some of these guys, they get drafted and their brothers and sisters are just as happy as the guy who got drafted.
Everybody wins.
We made it. It's like a whole thing, and that's a big burden for a guy. People don't understand, man. Half the money's going with taxes.
Yep.
Then you have, agency fees, and you got to get this house, and you got to pay. It's so
People
much.
think it's just pouring out of your ears.
No, and that's just not how it works.
It goes places.
It goes places quick. Especially the more money you make, the more people are needed and helping hand.
Taken from you, yeah.
And you feel obligated because you're like, how greedy am I? Do I need all this? So you end up dispersing it, but then at some point, the pot gets light, so I didn't have that issue. And I was very privileged. I had a father who already had his own stuff and was kind of showing me how to navigate and what things to spend money on and whatnot.
Yeah.
My only vice has always been and still is to this day is cars.
Yeah.
I have a problem with cars. I have an addiction with
Casual
cars.
vice to have, yeah.
I have a passion for it. I mean, I used to collect them as a kid, a 1/18 scale. I had over 100 cars. That's all I'd ask for Christmas is basketball sneakers and a model car.
That's amazing.
All the way up until I started dating, like my junior year, and I had to start hiding the cars in the closet. I was like, she can't come in here and see all these toy cars.
No, she can't see them on the shelf in the glass.
I used to have hundreds of cars displayed, and I had a paint desk where I customized and painted them. I was really into building engines.
You
and
had
all
the
this stuff.
duster to dust them all off.
I had to stuff them on the closet when I had my first girl. She was older than me too, so I was like, yeah, I gotta.
Stop.
Yeah, she was a senior, I was a sophomore. I was like, man, I gotta clean this shit up. So yeah, funny.
Wait, I love that. What was your first car that you drove in high school?
We had a Nissan. It's like a family car.
Yeah.
A Nissan Murano. But then when I committed to a school, my dad had a rule. He's like, if you get a Division I scholarship, I'll buy you any American-made car.
Oh, my family's the same way.
Yeah,
They're like American-made only.
Well, that's because if you open the markets up, I'm gonna be in a Mercedes dealership or can't go foreign. So he was like, anything American-made within reason. He's like, you're not getting a Hellcat or anything like that. But yeah, I ended up getting a Dodge Challenger, which was super sick. It came out and.
What color was it?
Black. It was black on black.
Nice.
Yeah. So it was cool. I was on the cover of some magazine with it, but forgot which one it was. I think it was ESPN.
That's the little boy in you coming out though, the.
Oh, it's me a car, a basketball, a magazine. I felt like it was cool. I was handing them out to people in school. Like, you see this?
Yeah, you're living the dream over there.
I thought I was the man. So it was a good moment. Yeah, I've always had a problem with that, but yeah, that was probably my first big purchase. I got the league, got a little Porsche.
Yeah.
Got a little condo, but that's it. I didn't really have to take care of nobody but myself, so I just saved all my money pretty much. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
With the publicity, so did you notice it right away? People recognizing you on the streets, grocery shopping and all that, because
yeah.
I know social media was around, but I guess in a way, you weren't as put on a stage or a platform to the masses unless they were fans of Duke or just fans of you in general, fans of your father. So it might have been a little different, but I mean, what was it like back then when you first got drafted and people started knowing your name in the professional level?
That's a good question. I mean, it started early for me because the Hoop mixtape stuff was really serious. I mean, it was it was Ball is Life and all those companies that were out.
That was the social media.
Yeah, that was social media for us pretty much. Mm-hmm. I would say me, at that time, John Wall, there were a couple other during my age group, but we already had kind of that motion. My high school games used to be, you would go into a city like in Maryland or Kansas, and it was sold out. I mean, the way people would come to watch you play, I was like, man, this stuff is, people really are watching this.
Yeah.
So I started getting used to that in high school. You go games, people asking you for autographs and stuff. So I was 16, 15, signing autographs.
So you didn't even notice that big of a difference. You were like, this is just my life now.
I was honestly more famous in high school than I was in New Orleans. I got drafted with Anthony Davis. You know what I mean? So everything was about, my junior year and senior year in high school were crazy. I can only imagine what it would have been like with Instagram.
I know. That was the first
I'm thankful
year
I didn't have it though, honestly.
Yeah.
It would have changed me early on. I didn't want that. there was like a simplicity of not having all that stuff. I didn't want to make money in high school. I didn't want to have millions of like I didn't want all that.
It's like it was like those
last
last
purity,
few golden years, yes, of
purity
like
of basketball.
the pure athlete mentality of like I'm gonna make it big, I'm gonna work really hard, and like the outside noise was a level lower than it is today.
Sure.
It was still there 100%, but just a level lower. Now these kids got 1 million followers when they're 14 years old. It's crazy.
And I have no problem. I'm not against NIL.
Absolutely,
but it has changed college sports.
Just changed the culture a bit.
And it's changed the purity of basketball and what we're getting right now in terms of a product and what type of players we're getting. And the transfer portal hasn't helped. So, you can't talk to a kid or even put anybody through struggle or try to teach anybody something because they'll just transfer. So it's hard right now for these. I mean, never has it ever been this hard to be a college coach.
Yeah.
Just from a recruiting standpoint and then retaining standpoint, keeping a player.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, it's tough.
It's crazy. So you said, you're talking about Anthony Davis. Did you ever have any insecurities within yourself, though, when you started in the league that you were like, did you ever doubt yourself? Did you ever have those moments, or did you keep that private? Were you vocal about that?
I did keep it private. I was not vocal about it, but I definitely had some insecurities. I mean, I had days where I would, after a game, I would drive home and just sit in my parking lot and I'd just cry in my car for like 2 hours by myself. I wouldn't tell anybody. Damn sure wouldn't show that I cried. I'd try to hide it, but I'd go in my car and just cry for hours.
Yeah.
I'd go look up Brad Beal's numbers. I'd look up Deion Waiter's numbers. I'd look up Damian Lillard's numbers, and I would see it, and it would just build.
Yeah.
I was so stressed about it. And it was frustrating because the situation and the man I was playing for I didn't have really a lot there.
Yeah.
And I wasn't really allowed to be myself as a player. So it just felt like my dream and what I had, this motion I had going for me from high school to Duke and everything was going. I'm like hit a wall.
Yeah.
It was frustrating. So I doubted myself. I started to doubt, well, is he right? Or, I mean, am I not good enough to be the guy? Or can I not? Why doesn't he give me the freedom to score offensively? Why can't I do these things? It really took me time. It wasn't until, like, really the Clippers, my third year, where I really started having games where I started putting 20-point games together and having success and shooting the ball at a higher level. Like, it took me time to get my confidence back.
So that's where you'd say you got your footing in.
For sure. Working with Sam Cassell. Sam Cassell changed my career.
Really?
Yeah, and playing for my father, obviously.
Yeah.
But Sam Cassell worked with me every day. He got my footwork right. John Wall says the same thing. John Wall came to the league. He's like, bro, I was just an athlete. I couldn't hit a mid-range jump shot to save my life. He's like, I worked with Sam Cassell. He made me a lethal mid-range jump shooter. I don't know if people remember, but during those All-Star years, John was a guy that come off that pick and pop on stop on a dime and shoot that little midi just well enough to where you had to respect it so he can get to the basket. And that's all I needed. I had the first step. I didn't have the jump shot. I didn't have the footwork or the consistency in my jump shot. And those are things that Sam worked with me every day. And as that improved, my game, improved and my confidence. And, yeah, for sure.
That's awesome. What year, in your opinion, it doesn't even have to be like a year that maybe like the team did the best, but what year was your favorite year in the NBA? What season?
Ooh, probably 2014-15 Clippers years.
Was it the team? It was the coach, the staff.
Was it 2014-15? I don't even know what year it was. What's the year? It ended up being a horrific ending.
I lose track of the years at this point. I literally forget almost.
Well, every season has ended in a bad ending. I didn't win a title, so they all ended the same way. That year was more frustrating because we were on the verge of going to the conference finals. We were up 3-1 versus the Rockets. This is the big blemish on the Rivers family here because they blame my father, and I was also a part of that team too. But it was like Blake and Chris Paul and JJ. We were up 3-1 versus the Rockets, and they came all the way back and went on to play the Warriors, who we already had like a thing with, and we matched up so well with them.
Yeah.
And we blew it. That was probably one of the most fun years I've had playing basketball, and probably one of the worst times was kind of going home in the summer with that. Yeah.
I mean, what's it like going home on like family Christmas during something like that? Like, is your family talking about it? Are they letting you like relax?
Yeah, no, that's all they do is talk about it.
Yeah.
Everybody is in your business in my family, so it's like if I get in an argument with my sister, like my brother will call me like 2 hours later. I'm like, how do you know this already? Yeah, it's like that. We're like that type of family, so you definitely going to hear about it.
Open book family.
Yeah. No, it's not open book. It's weird. We're all like very private and separate, and we're all loners, but like we're all somehow. It's my sister and my mom. It's just the girls. They talk so much, man. word travels, something gets to them, and the whole family gets, because otherwise me and my dad and my brother are in our own different worlds, so.
Yeah. Did you speak at your sister's wedding? I meant to ask. Did you give a speech?
No.
No?
No, I didn't give one.
You didn't pull a little note out of your pocket?
No. I didn't say anything. I let my sister's close friends do it, and then I let Seth's close friends do it. I was cool with Seth, but, like, one my boy. You know what I mean? He's my boy now, but, like, we weren't, like, homies and stuff. So, like, I wasn't about to speak for this man at a wedding.
Oh, okay. So you guys got closer through the marriage, through
Yeah. But even now, like,
connection.
he still has his friends. Seth has, like, 7 words a day.
Yeah.
Like, he has, like, 10 words max per day. He's going to allocate. So 8 of them are going to go to my sister.
Yeah.
2 of them to the kids. After that, I don't know how many times
Maybe
he's going to talk.
every few weeks, a few for you.
He just golfs and then hangs with the kids, just sits there quietly. He kind of has his own thing. I think that's why they work, because my sister's, like, super, the opposite.
Just like personality.
Yeah, for sure.
What's your favorite thing about your family altogether?
I'd say that we all have each other's back. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? We're all different in our own ways. We disagree about a lot of things. We get into it sometimes, but push comes to shove. You know, we're a close knit family when need. So
That's awesome.
I would say that's the best quality about us.
Do you have any funny story? Sorry, I keep jumping around. Do you have any funny stories from you and the guys from the 2014-2015 Clippers year?
I don't know which ones are appropriate on camera.
Whatever you're comfortable sharing, we're down to have.
That was a wild, we're in Los Angeles too, man. I mean, that's just, that was shock value to me.
NBA team in Los Angeles, you're in the
I was
best
in Orlando
city.
to Durham to New Orleans to Los Angeles. I mean, it was just like a steady little climb. And then I got there and I was like, this is how people party out here? This is it was something different for me.
Like, did you ever get invited to like a celebrity party? Like, do you remember?
I mean, I was like 2015, 2016. I'm like 22. You know what I mean? I'm not even in that realm of a party. I was hanging out with like Zach Bia.
Yeah.
We were like running around doing stuff. Like it wasn't like that. So, but no, for sure. That's just, you would end up at a house. You wouldn't even know it's a celebrity's party. And then you'd be there and just see it. People would be like, oh, that's so-and-so. This is his house. LA, that's all there is. There is house parties. There's no club scene there.
Yeah.
Club scene there is horrific.
No, so bad. It's
you
all
pretty much
house
go
parties.
to dinner and then it's somebody's house party, which are kind of whack. So
they're kind of whack, but it's true. Like, you really never know whose house you're in.
No, you don't know.
Like,
and then everyone says it's their house. They're renting it for 2 months. It's not even their house.
Exactly.
So, like, you never know what's going on out there. It's just somebody has it, because you would have to think, if this is really their house, would they have all of us in there? Probably not. You know what I mean? So I don't know.
Exactly.
I don't take, LA is a funny place.
You
so.
take LA with a grain of salt. Like,
for
everyone, the renting house thing is so accurate too. And also, I didn't know you were homies with Zach B. I saw him at a Nets. Are you still friends with him?
That's my boy.
Oh my, that's so funny. I saw him at a Nets game the other day actually, and he was about 4 people to my right, and so he's still in like the scene and whatnot. But you guys are homies, like going out whatever in LA. Do you ever remember, though, like at a game, a celebrity showing up and you being kind of like starstruck that they were like courtside? Because that's where all the celebrities go. Normally it was, Lakers, but it's still LA, so there has to be some Clippers fans.
I remember seeing Khaleesi from Game of Thrones.
Really?
She came to a Rockets game one time, and I was just like, man, I mean, that show at the time, Game of Thrones, was like the best thing on TV, so. I just remember seeing her at the Rockets game, like, man, why is she here? Like, it was really cool. It was a random celebrity.
Yeah.
That's one you didn't think you would see those are the ones that I remember, the ones you would never think would be at a basketball game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
the most memorable ones.
Jay-Z's like really cool, but like Jay-Z goes to a lot of ball games. Floyd Mayweather goes to a lot of ball games. So like you see those guys often, and Chris Rock, Adam Sandler.
They're the regulars.
These guys love ball, so like they're at games. So the first time is really cool, but then you'll see them a second or third time.
Yeah.
But like seeing like Emma Watson at a random game, you'd be like, that's Hermione.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like something like that would be more cool for me. You know, so those are the celebrities that I would see and be like, man, that's so and so. So
wait,
that's one.
Were you a Game of Thrones guy and a Harry Potter guy?
For sure. Still watch Harry Potter every October. I run through the whole series.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
I still have not watched Harry Potter.
For real?
It's so embarrassing because I grew up, obviously, like everyone loves Harry Potter. You go to Universal Studios, everyone knows if they're like Hufflepuff or whatever the other 3 are. I feel like I'm missing out on something. And so I actually feel like this year, 2025, on my resolutions list, I got to sit down and watch the entire series. Or read the books. Have you read the books?
Just the first 2.
Yeah.
And then
book or
after
movie?
I would say the book, if you're looking at it from a full information standpoint, because there's things in the movie that were missed, just little details that were in the book. So I'd go with the book, but The movies were fantastic.
Do you have a favorite one?
Goblet of Fire.
Oh, I gotta start this. We gotta do like a whole sit down. I see everyone nodding behind the camera. They're like, you gotta watch Harry Potter.
Yeah.
That's so funny. So okay.
Did you have it? How was your childhood? Were you loved or how?
I had a lot of free reign to the internet and also just like whatever I wanted to watch. So like,
were you watching things that you shouldn't have been watching? Is what you're saying? You were like, we were watching Harry Potter. You were watching like
Family Guy.
Yeah, exactly.
At like 6 years old and Simpson, not good. And then mom walks in, you switch it to like Disney Channel,
I see
Hannah
like
Montana.
15-year-olds and 16-year-olds are watching like Love Is Blind.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, this is crazy.
That's too serious.
14-year-olds watching Love Is Blind is nuts, man.
It was
Love Island or whatever. There's like a
yeah,
million
the reality
shows now.
shows. No, it was ridiculous. I was watching like a lot of movies, like Disney movies, and then it was like Family Guy. I had some good balance, but Harry Potter, I think no one in my family was into it.
We would watch movies when we could. My sister dominated the main room TV.
Yeah.
So
see, I never got that. I was the youngest.
I had to watch some. Yeah, I was forced to watch some of her shows. But some of her shows, even though they were meant for women, they were good though. The drama in it was pretty solid.
Absolutely, the plot line. Immaculate, always in a woman's show.
The OC, she used to watch the OC, and I used to like complain, and I'd sit there like, when
you get locked in all of a sudden.
What happened to Jesse? I don't know what I was saying, but I used to get into it. Yeah, that stuff was good.
That's so amazing. So we'll jump a little. When did you know you were ready to stop playing basketball? Kind of deep question.
No, that is. You know what? You're never ready. You know, the NBA retires you. The 0.001% of an already limited percent of people who get to play basketball choose their timing. Mm-hmm. Like, unless you're Chris Paul, Dwayne Wade, a Russell Westbrook, a LeBron James, those are guys who are going to get to step away from the game when they're ready to step away. You know what I mean?
I cried when Dwayne Wade stepped away, but
you said who?
Dwayne Wade is my favorite player, and I cried when he stepped away. I was like, "There's no way."
D Wade's the man.
It's true. It's. I mean, sometimes it's like a mix of like knowing like you're ready or you're at a point, and obviously the organization as well. There's two edges to it. So.
Yeah, and those guys also. Let's just be honest, man. They financially have made, and again, we all got paid a lot of money, but. You know, we're talking about guys who have made $50 million for like 8 years, 9 years straight.
Yeah.
So like at some point, they're also ready to step away from the game in just every way. You know what I mean? Like they're good. That matters. Every other plays until you don't get called anymore. Mm-hmm. There's guys in the league right now who are still playing, don't play a minute, but they're just on the end of the bench being a good vet.
Yep.
Just like, I got a job. I make vet minimum. I play in the NBA still. I'm making $3 million. What else am I going to do making $3 million right now?
Exactly.
So that's a thing. So most guys just play up until you just don't get calls anymore, or you're calling and people aren't interested. Mm-hmm. And at that point, you start to have to try to segue into something else. I already planned ahead. I started my pod when I was already in the back end of my years. I could already see where my career was going. Mm-hmm. My minutes were getting less and less. I was getting older because you're not going to play over the 20-year-old. That's just the way the NBA works. People don't understand. It's not about who the best players are. Otherwise, I'd still be in the league now. I could go play tomorrow night in the Garden and give you 22.
Heck yeah.
Not a problem. No,
I would love to see that.
Not a problem. But that's
Next call 'em up.
That's that's not on my cards, and it's someone else's turn. Mm-hmm. So now, I get to talk about whose turn it is, and I get to, watch the game I love, and I don't have any bitter feelings towards the league. Like, I'm glad I had a moment and a time. I got to play 11 years.
You had a great moment. That's a great run.
I'm very thankful for that, and I'm thankful for my college years and or my 1 year there, and I'm thankful for high school. And, bro, it's a journey. Like, I'm so good. Again, would I love to play? Sure, but, like, I'm already on other things now.
Yeah.
But it's hard for some guys, man. Some guys don't know, and some guys can't give it up. They'll go overseas for years, which I would. If I didn't have kids, I probably would consider that heavily. Like, if I didn't have any kids and I didn't have to uproot them, I probably would think about going to, like, a Greece or, just playing another 2 or 3 years. You get to go over there and be a little more free.
A little more spontaneous.
Yeah, you get to go, and you get to go over there and also on the court be, like, the guy. You know what I mean? I was a role player my whole career in the NBA. Never was I, like, an all-star. So I got to always be the fourth option, the third option some nights, the second option if someone was hurt. I was never the one option or even the two option on the team consistently. So with the exception of maybe 1 year in LA where I was like the two option. But other than that, it was always me trying to be a role player. So going overseas and being a guy that could score 30 or 20, you see Mike James and some of these other guys who are over there cooking. Like, and obviously he's been overseas most of his career, but still, I've always thought about going over there and trying to do something. But the kids, it's just, I got 3 of them. It'd be a lot. So.
Oh yeah, I see it. My sister has 2, and I just lived with her for a month while my apartment was under renovations. And it's not even a 24-hour job. It's literally a 25/8 job. It's your entire life just transforms into being about these kids.
It's all about, it's crazy. So you see it. So that's, wasn't in the cards, and I got into the media stuff, and I enjoy it. I like being able to watch the game and talk, and in the media, you could do one thing, 2 things. You know, I could work for one network, have my own show, have a pod, do this. So you can hustle and, like, meet people and watch the game still. So that's what I'm doing right now.
I think that's the beauty of, like, modern day, too, is that a lot of athletes have great opportunities in the media
for real.
now.
I can only imagine, like, if this was, like, 2002 and I was retiring, like, unless you're one of the lucky guys who get a network job, you're kind of out of luck. So
I know.
you know, I'm very thankful. I was able to get into the media stuff, and I've had a lot of fun doing it. It's definitely helped me retire with more grace.
Yes.
Because there was definitely, when I first wasn't getting calls, there was so much frustration. I would turn on the TV and I'd see a guy play. I'm like, I'm better than him. You know what I mean? But it's not always what the league is about. It's about relationships. And you know, timing and all these other different things. So it happened for me as it's happened for a lot of my team. I think from my draft class, the only people left are AD, Drummond, Draymond, Dame, and Brad Beal.
Yeah. Which, like, rightfully.
You
like,
see the names I just named? Yeah, like, that's what I'm saying. So, like, I'm okay. If I was a year behind those guys, I did all right. You know what I mean? So I had my time.
There you go.
And, it's fun to watch those guys still play and everybody else play.
That's amazing. Have you picked up any hobbies since retirement?
Man.
Kids and work?
Yeah. I don't have anything, bro. I'm so sad with golf. Like, all my friends can golf. And I get invited to go on these trips, and, like, Seth and Steph are, like, phenomenal at it, and it sucks. And I'm just like, I never get out there and play enough. I could play, but, like, compared to what those guys can play, it's just not even the same thing.
Some guys take the score so seriously, and that's
they go play every day. I mean,
yeah.
if my pops is not coaching, he's on a golf course. He's obsessed with it. I mean, he lives and breathes golf. And I grew up membership to the golf course. All that, I never went. It's always been basketball for me, and now that I have kids, it's pretty much media stuff or parenting.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much my life.
Can you give any advice to some young athletes out there? Any advice about, going into their careers, training?
I would just say, don't forget you're a basketball player. Everybody is so much more now. You're an influencer. You're on Instagram. You're a brother. You're a sister. A lot of these young guys are fathers now. Boyfriend. They move. They play video games. They stream. They do all these things, and sometimes you forget why people are even interested in you in the first place. Is that you're good at bouncing the ball.
Yeah.
Just don't forget that's why you're here. There's a lot of guys in the NBA right now who are young, having success. They get that first max contract, and then you can just see something change in their demeanor, their play, their consistency, their lifestyle, and that's what you don't want to do. I think don't ever forget that. People are only interested in us for the first place is because we're good at playing that ball. Don't forget you're here to play ball. That'd be my only advice is stick to the game. Everything else will come and go.
Yeah. You're
going to make mistakes. I've made too many, and that's part of life. But you can't ever forget with the bread and butter, though. That's getting the job done on the court.
Heck yeah, bread and butter pickles. All right, what is next for Austin Rivers? And
What'd you just say?
Bread and butter pickles. Isn't that... I hate those, but I just thought
bread and butter and pickles.
They're sweet. They're not good.
Oh, they're bread butter pickles.
They're so gross. I hate them. But when you said that, I thought of that. Do you like pickles?
No.
Oh, do you like olives?
I used to as a kid. I think I used to eat them too much, and I don't like them.
Yeah.
It's like one of those things.
Are there any up-and-coming young athletes that you have your eye on?
I mean, the obvious one would be Cooper Flagg, obviously, and what he's doing at Duke right now, the 42-point game, the dunks, the displays of athleticism. His game is coming along offensively now where he's showing things that I didn't see. I saw flashes at USA, but I didn't see it consistently. I didn't know he could do some of the things he's doing right now offensively with his jump shot, the mid-range. He's a star. VJ Edgecombe is another guy at Baylor, played for my AAU program. Austin Rivers Elite. He was one of the better players that we've had. He's an explosive guard of the Bahamas.
Yeah.
He's going to be a big-time athlete. Mikael Brown.
Yeah.
Another guy who played on my program. I think he's now a team loaded. He's sick. So he's another guy that people need to keep an eye out for. Yeah, those are three guys right now I like.
Yeah, those guys are awesome. Make sure you guys go check them out. And then, so what's next for you, and where can we find you? You want to shout out your IG handles, your podcast, all
Austin
that?
J. Rivers is my Instagram, but I'm on the Off Guard podcast. It's with The Ringer under Bill Simmons. But yeah, we have an episode every week, every Friday, and every Monday we have an episode that comes out. So you can catch me out on there. I got a show that I'm actually making myself and producing myself. We just wrapped a pilot with a Hall of Fame point guard.
Congratulations.
That's all I'm going to say. But yeah, it's Eye for the Game.
Keep it under wraps.
Yeah. You'll see. The trailer is going to release in like 2 or 3 weeks. So really cool. Got a little thing building with Netflix. And then I'm calling some college games this year, and we'll see about the NBA next year. But I got the Indiana, Michigan State next month, and a couple other college games coming up that I'm doing color broadcasting for the first time. So just like you said, you just hustling. You know, I'm just out here just trying to meet people, network. Getting to try different things and different avenues. Last year I did like mostly ESPN studio stuff.
Yes.
And was heavily in that. Just kind of getting a feel for it.
Yeah.
And I really want to try the broadcasting stuff.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing right now.
I mean, I admire all that, your work ethic. You're keeping it going. You're keeping your face in the media and doing all these amazing jobs and broadcasts.
I'm trying.
I mean, so many exciting things coming up. Make sure you guys go check them out. Austin, it was so amazing to have you.
Thank you guys for having me. Seriously, this was dope. Appreciate you guys.
So much insight. Like, I love it. Your character, your work ethic, everything. Make sure you guys go check out his pod, his upcoming works, and we'll see you guys next time.
Thank you.
Cut.